Hello.
Hi. Hi, guys.
How are you?
What's up, everybody?
It's Angela.
It's Lamar
Yes.
and Angela.
Angela.
Wow, he put me first, y'all.
Uh-huh.
He did me first. How are you?
I'm good. How are
You
you?
feeling good today?
Yeah.
It's the 1st of May, the first of the month.
It's the first of the month. It's the first of the month.
Okay.
Get up, get up, get up. It's the first of the month. Get your pay. I think it's paycheck.
Oh, no. Just stop.
I'm not a rapper. I'm not that kind of person. And I wasn't familiar with Bone
Bone
Thugs and Harmony. No.
Yes. First of the month.
Ow, Louie.
Welcome to our channel. We are so glad that you stopped by.
Bye.
We see you.
Yes.
We see you.
Yes.
Thank you for stopping by. Thank
Hi,
you
Louie.
for joining us. Lamar and Angela, this is our YouTube channel. We are two expats that just not long ago, feels like a long time actually, 3 years.
Be 3 years, yeah.
3 years ago, we decided to pack up our lives and move from Maryland to Mexico.
Yes.
And so we are going to be discussing today, in today's live, a topic very much requested.
Yes.
All the time.
Oh, for sure.
We get this all the time from people. So we wanted to address that. This is the video that you should bookmark.
Yes.
Click subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. You're tuning in because you're curious about moving abroad, right?
Yes.
Am I right? Am I right? Am
Yep.
I right? You are curious about moving abroad. And we did so with our 2 kids, technically 3, but the oldest was grown.
Yeah.
2 kids,
2 dogs,
2 dogs, and a minivan.
Yeah,
packed up everything.
We drove from Maryland
to Mexico.
Yes.
But we also did not get rid of everything. And so that's what we're going to be discussing today.
Yeah.
If you are looking or thinking about moving abroad, but one of the concerns that you have is your stuff. Like, do I actually have to get rid of all of my things? Do I have to get rid of everything? And if I don't want to get rid of everything, what's that process like? How expensive is it? What other questions do we get? We've gotten some questions ahead of time, y'all. So if you have some questions, be sure to drop them in the chat so that we can address your questions. But we get a lot of these questions all the time.
Yeah. What are now for Mexico, the import rules, especially with the duty?
One of our dogs is playing in
is here. With your residency you get here within.
Wait, we're gonna go into it.
But but I mean that's the question we get. Is there problems getting stuff into the country? What can you bring?
Oh, yeah.
We
get that all the time. We get those questions a lot.
Yeah.
So if you have some specific questions that we have not addressed, or if you just want to make sure we get it, or get those questions fired off into the chat, and we will make sure we get them answered for you.
Yeah.
Because we love you.
Yeah.
And we trying to make sure y'all get out of the situation in the country that you are in right now.
Yeah.
We make no bones about it.
Yeah, that's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a hot mess.
Hot mess. Okay. So first and foremost, in the process of moving abroad, one of the things that, let's start at the beginning. We had a rather large house, 4 bedrooms, four bedrooms, 5.5 baths.
1, 2, 3, 4.5 baths.
4.5 baths. 4.5 baths. This house has 5.5 baths.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, rather large home. We were in the DC area. Both of us had careers, very successful careers.
Yeah.
Had lifetimes of memories and all kinds of things like that. And there were some things that we knew we would have to get rid of, and that was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Coco, excuse me, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so we knew that we were going to have to get rid of some things. And also, as we were moving abroad, we knew that we were bringing our 2 teenage kids, and eventually we were going to get to the place where they were going to be leaving the house, and we would be empty nesters.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, hey.
Mhm.
We were going to be empty nesters, so we knew that downsizing was going to be at some point in time in our future,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So we decided to take that into consideration and start some of that downsizing early, because we knew that as our parents, Lamar's parents both died
Yeah.
2015 and 2020.
2020.
Mine was 2017 and 2019. So we knew we had gotten a lot of things from them. We just,
Especially things like pictures and things like that. I mean, we have pictures right here, and I was just in one of the rooms here, and it was pictures that were taken at church years ago, and I was like, this needs to be taken out of a frame and scanned in.
How did that get here?
Right.
We'll talk about that soon too.
Yeah.
But a lot of our things we had accumulated over the years. We knew we weren't going to need, and those types of things. So here is your checklist as you are thinking about moving abroad and thinking about, do I need to really get rid of my stuff? First, you must think about, what is your plan? What is your plan to move abroad? When you leave the country, is it just going to be for 6 months, a year, a sabbatical, and then come back? Do you own your home? Do you rent your home? Are you planning to return to wherever you are? Assuming you're in the United States, we'll just assume for the purposes of this conversation that you're in the United States.
Yeah.
And if you're planning to return to the United States, am I actually going to need those things when I get back, because I'm coming back to my life? Or maybe you want to consider, do I really want to just chuck it all?
Right.
And bop around the world? There are some of our beautiful friends who are doing just that, bopping all around the world and loving it.
Right.
Absolutely having a ball. So they had no plans. Who are you bringing with you?
Right.
Very important concept.
Yes. Yeah. Who's coming with you and all that. I think that one of the big things for me was the things. What are things? What are memories? What can be converted? What can be put into a digital form? What can, things like that. And what things that I had do I not need to bring, because it's not that it's useless or doesn't have any kind of meaning, but you can't take all these things with you.
Right.
So it was about bringing things that would be bringing me joy and happiness and things that I enjoyed while being here in Mexico.
Well, and also here's the other deal. When you are looking to move abroad and you are looking to downsize your life, in a sense, again, like I was saying, you need to take into consideration, what is the overall plan? What is your intention?
Sure.
If you're planning to come back to the United States or to return to your former life, this is just kind of a sabbatical. And maybe you want to downsize and then find something when you get back, and you just want to put things in storage and your belongings in storage and hold that there. You can do that. Some people would advise against it. I kind of I'm on that tip a little bit too, but not all the way against putting your things in storage, particularly if you're planning to come back.
Yeah.
Right. So the other thing that I would say also, if you are interested in bopping around and you don't know what kind of time frame you have, this is going to be just trying things out. Just maybe you want to plan to be a digital nomad and live abroad and just work abroad and all of those kinds of things. You probably need to also take that into consideration too, on whether you ship your stuff.
Right.
Aside from the fact that you just want to be free and loose and carefree.
Yeah. One of the things that came up from a friend that came here was being, I don't know if it was not maligned, that's too strong, just criticized about bringing certain things.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just remember, guys, this is your journey.
Yeah.
Whatever makes you happy.
This is true.
So just be aware of the fact that You bring what you want to bring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Don't let someone, hi H&D, what's going on? Yeah. So, just remember that this is your journey. You do you.
Yeah.
Don't be constrained by or feel that pressure of doing the,
Doing it the way that everybody else
two
does it.
suitcases and the backpack or any of this.
Listen.
Look,
Okay, so here's the skinny on the 2 suitcases in the backpack, because that's pretty much what you can carry on the plane, or most people check a suitcase, maybe 2 suitcases
just-
at the very most. 2 suitcases in a backpack was kind of a theme that I tried to look at when we were still in Maryland. Could I whittle my entire life down to 2 suitcases in a backpack? My answer was no.
that was me too.
I couldn't do it. I could not whittle all my belongings down to 2 suitcases in a backpack and just carry just those things with me.
Yeah.
It just was not in the cards. And that's not to criticize. Listen, I admire
Yeah. Oh, for
those
sure.
of you who can do
If
2
that-
suitcases in a backpack, 2 snaps.
If that's your ministry, if that's your thing,
You
and
better work.
and just go. People know this. I've had a hobby for 25, 26 years.
Mhm.
I enjoy it.
Right.
I have a blast with it. So could I live without it right now? Well, my eyes work, my hands work. I'm fully able and capable of doing it.
Right.
And that was one of the reasons we picked where we are now.
But that also speaks to intention.
Intention, yes.
What are your intentions
Intentions.
for moving abroad, for leaving the country or moving abroad? Like I said, if you're doing just a sabbatical, that's fine. But if you also are planning to scout around,
Right.
Looking at maybe putting your stuff in storage, that could possibly be an option as well.
Scaling back, putting the stuff that you may want to bring
Absolutely
with you
want
when
to
you
bring
with
with
you,
Yeah.
put it in storage, go scout around. Okay, I found a place. Let me go get my stuff out of storage and have it shipped to my destination.
That is always a consideration. For us, we were a one and doneer.
Yeah.
We pretty much knew that moving to Querétaro, Mexico was going to be our move. It was literally picking up our entire home base and plopping it down in Mexico.
And home base not meaning furniture and things like that. We sold furniture.
Yeah.
So it wasn't.
We had a big estate sale.
Sale, right.
Got rid of a lot of our belongings, but the most valuable in the sense of things that mean the most to us, those were the things that we decided to ship.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty of how do you decide? There are a bunch of options that are available to you if you want to ship stuff abroad. If you are thinking of just shipping just a couple of boxes, you can do that via air type of shipping
freight.
services.
You can
freight
ship it
services
with the airline that you're DHL, FedEx,
Mhm.
UPS ships worldwide.
You gonna pay a penny.
Yeah.
You gonna pay a penny. Let's just keep it 100.
Yeah.
You are going to pay a penny to ship it, but there are some things that some people just can't live without.
Right.
And I agree with that.
It depends on the amount. So
Yeah.
if you ship by FedEx, UPS, and things like that, you may have a few boxes
and they ship by weight.
So it may be cost effective for you to do it that way.
Right.
However, what we did was different. But if that's what your plan is to bring maybe some memorabilia, photos, maybe you have a small hobby, maybe you you're doing
have a couple books that you want to bring that you can't put in your suitcase and all that kind of stuff, then that's an option. If you are on, let's assume that you're in the United States, if you're on this side of the hemisphere, driving or having your stuff shipped via on the ground may be an option for you as well.
Yeah.
There are a number of services that will leave, say, Mexico or Central America, drive up with a truck, get your things, and bring them back. Now, again, that depending on who you enlist, that could be a little bit of a pretty penny.
Yeah.
But if that's one of the things that are absolutely near and dear to you, then you could consider that. Look also on some of the expat groups on Facebook that share that information with you, or that share information about how of services that ship. People who are going to the States and sometimes are looking for somebody to ride with them back or things like that, they may be willing to meet you someplace, get your stuff, and ship you. So those are options as well.
Yeah.
Takes a little coordination, but if you don't have that many things and but you still want to bring them, those are really good, viable options. Those are viable options that you could probably look into. But for us, oh, hey, Anita, that's my girl. That's my bopping girl.
Oh, is that the grandma?
That's the global granny.
That's the global granny?
That's right.
She's a bopping granny. She's hopping and skipping and going at it.
Listen, and that if you can do that, and that is so fantastic. But again, like I said before, you really have to know what your plans are, what your intentions are. Sometimes people may decide that they want to maybe try things out, bop around, and maybe realize that, oof, this isn't for me. Let me go back. My life is intact. I only put stuff in storage. I can always get another place. Right? For others, they know I'm done with the United States. I just need to find my place. And so they may want to try on a whole bunch of different places on for size to see if they are really feeling Vietnam or Thailand or Mexico or Ecuador or
Portugal
or Colombia or see what feels good, and then making a decision on what their place is. Those are two things that you have to consider, or those are some things that you need to consider. Now, if you know for a fact you've already picked your place, and we'll speak in this instance, we'll speak to Mexico because that's what we know. But this would probably apply if you're trying to ship your things to Africa and certain countries in Africa and things of that nature. From what I have understood from those of us who have shipped things to the continent, to the motherland continent, it's kind of the same kind of situation. So if you're thinking about having a shipping container to ship it by boat, there's quite a number of things that you have to think about and take into consideration in terms of the process. And that's probably the most daunting thing that makes people hesitant about shipping things abroad, because there is a lot of paperwork involved.
Because you have to think about customs. You have to think about what's allowed in the country, what you can ship, taxes. If in fact you are charged taxes, it depends on the immigration process. Right.
Your immigration process in and of itself. What can you bring? What things are allowed in the country that I'm moving to? What things are actually being, what things are outlawed in your country? There are some things that may be not allowed for you to bring, which is perfectly legal in the United States, but you can't bring it here. Certain medications, certain weaponry.
Yes.
There are things like that. If you want to ship your plants, there are some plants that you can't bring plants.
There are fluids and things like that.
Fluids. Oh, that's true.
Fluids that you cannot bring into a country. Like with my hobby, there are things that I could not ship here.
Right.
So it depends on all those factors. You have to take those into consideration, and what it is that I want to bring, how much can I bring, what is their customs process, like for here.
So here's the deal for us. We got our temporary residency for Mexico in February of 2022. We did all of the paperwork and got the residency stamped in our visa. At that point in time, Mexico would allow, and I'm saying at that point in time because the world is crazy, y'all. I mean, stuff just be changing all over the place. And it's still that way now. However, you may be watching us from the future. Hello. And so if you are watching from the future, no telling what's going to be the situation then. But what's true then is true now. And so for us, as we were, after you receive your temporary residency, you have 6 months to get to Mexico and complete the other side of your residency, which is to basically check in and say, I've arrived, and they will now turn your residency into a temporary residency and turn your visa into a temporary residency and give you a actual card. As a part of that residency process, you also, moving to Mexico, have 6 months in which you can ship your household goods duty free.
Right.
Duty free, no taxes or anything like that. You have 6 months, but it has to be in one lump sum. You got to bring it all in one lump sum and fill out a form, which is called a menaje de casa. And it's basically an inventoried list of everything that you're bringing. Everything that you're bringing has to be inventoried on this list. And then once that list is submitted along with your, through customs and whatnot, those items that you have brought will now you'll be able to pick them up at customs
or have them actually, the company that we use, they bring it from the port to your residence.
Right. Now, that's what we did.
Yeah.
We decided to go that route. And I'll tell you about the route that we went. But there are some lower costing alternatives that you might want to consider. If you want to have your stuff shipped, typically it would come to, depending on which side of the country you're on, if you're on the East Coast, it would come to Veracruz in Mexico, down in the Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
No goddamn Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
All right. And you would pick your things up if you wanted to actually pick them up at
the port.
The port itself. Or if you're on the West Coast, you would probably ship stuff out of some port in California, and it would come to the western side
of Mexico.
That's for Mexico. And it's kind of the same for a lot of other countries that offer duty free. But again, check with the country that you're moving to make sure to find out what the duty taxes, if any, are and what the window of time might be. Because some countries may give you a year that you have to ship your things. Some countries, like Mexico, may only give you 6 months. Some may give you just 30 days. Get it and go.
Right.
Boom, boom. So you definitely want to take and look into that, because the menaje de casa process for us was a lifesaver. And that was the major difference that helped us make that decision about whether or not we were going to bring our stuff.
Yeah.
So we worked with a company, and I'll put their description, shout out to International Movers, Inc. We worked with a company. They were based out of New York.
Right.
They have people here in Mexico. They have connections with a lot of other moving companies all across the globe. And we had working with us our own personal representative that worked with us in terms of making sure our paperwork, our menaje de casa paperwork was processed.
Because at first I thought that we were going to have to inventory all our stuff that we were bringing. I was like, oh my goodness. But they actually had a representative come in and
and that was again, we paid for the full service.
Right.
Full service us, baby. That's what, but we had saved up in order to do that, because we knew that this was a one and done. This was a one and doneer for us. And so that made it worth the time and expense of having to coordinate. Once we had our residencies locked in February, we were just coordinating with our moving company, with them in terms of how they would gather our belongings in Maryland, ship them to Baltimore, which was the nearest international port, Baltimore, and then from Baltimore to Veracruz, and then Veracruz put it on a truck. Sorry, I was blacking out there. Menopause. Put it on a truck and then drive it to our location. Now, they were great. They were fantastic. They came in that day, and honey, let me tell you,
they wrapped up, packed up all kinds of stuff, and stuff that I actually wanted to use quickly, and before I could get to it, it was wrapped up like a mummy.
Now, we were making stuff happen at the same time simultaneously, because we were at the same as we were packing, we were having an estate sale, we were downsizing, we were getting rid of, it was like a whole bunch of flurry of stuff
the
happening
house
at the same time.
segmented into stuff that was going in the estate sale, stuff that was coming with us, and stuff that we
Stuff
were
that
giving
was
away.
going to Goodwill. So it was like, it was chaos. It
Yeah.
really was chaos. We have some of those videos on our channel. If you are new to our channel, you can go back and take a look at that hot mess chaos that was, that was our house when we were downsizing and getting rid of things and doing the estate sale and getting all those kinds of things ready. So we had, at one point in time, I think the movers were scheduled to come first to take the things that were slated for the shipping container. Did we have a shipping container first and then the estate sale, or was it the other way around?
It was kind of going at the same time. So I'm trying to remember. That was 3 years ago.
I know. I believe, if I remember correctly, we had the shipping container stuff sent first. What was left was estate sale, and whatever didn't sell in the estate sale went to Goodwill.
Right.
And I think that's, if I remember correctly, that is exactly how we got rid of a lot of our stuff. And then we also had, prior to us having the estate sale and prior to the shipping company coming and getting our things, we also had family come through. Come through and get what you want.
Right.
The good china, come on, get it. Had my niece come get the good china. My sister come get the chair, come get that couch, those types of things. So we could just easily get rid of those things, and then everything that was left. Now, having said that, some of our belongings that should not have come got swept up by the movers and made its way onto the pack.
Some of those guys were running around the house like the Tasmanian devil. Just
they were.
And just packing stuff up, and it was.
They were moving fast. They moved so quickly through. That team of people came through, boop, 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 and had it bop. It was on the plane. Woo! It was.
It was on the truck.
It was on the truck. It was gone.
Yeah.
So for us during 2022, this was coming at the. It was the tail end of COVID and things of that nature. Shipping containers were scarce at that point in time. They might be going back into that now. That might be happening now. So if you're considering, that might be something that you take into consideration. But our belongings went to a storage facility in Baltimore and were being held there until they could locate a shipping container.
Right.
Now here's the other thing about a shipping container. The most important thing about the shipping container. Shipping containers come in 20 feet or 40 feet. You can either have a 20-foot container, the whole thing, or you can do a whole 40-foot container, which is huge, which is humongous. You think of a 16-wheeler with the whole
trailer. It's huge. It's full.
It is humongous.
It would be full. You can do either the full thing or the half or a quarter.
Or what's called LCL, less than container load. So it's not saying you have a whole container, but you have less than the load. So what they typically would do on a less than container load, which is always a little cheaper, definitely cheaper than a full container. But we knew that we probably wouldn't make it in a 20 because it would be stuffing it. Now in hindsight, we probably could have done a 20 foot. It would have fit in a 20 foot.
Right.
But we didn't want to take any chances. So what they did was, or what shipping container companies will do, if you are doing less than container load, they will put your things in there along with others who are also doing less than container
and segment
load.
the container.
And so you kind of share a container with a bunch of other people. Right. And so it's shipped to it goes to customs in Baltimore. That's where we were. It goes to customs in the United States. They go through your things and verify, and then they close the container and put a lock,
a seal. It's a seal. Yes, a seal, and it has a number. And then they're not allowed to open that until it gets to its destination, meaning to customs in the receiving country. Then they will go through customs and check the things to, make sure everything is
in the
cool.
Receiving country.
And then they
put another lock on
seal on it, and then seal it, and then send it to.
It'll deliver to you. So when you get your container, finally arrives to you, it will still have the custom seal. I thought I meant to bring that upstairs, the little
Oh yeah,
the
you
lock.
still have it.
I still have it.
Yeah.
I still have it. But the actual lock, they had to take these huge
It's
bolt cutters and break, cut the bolt
Right.
in order for us to verify
Right.
that our stuff was there. That this is your number. Yes,
Yeah.
and we look on our paperwork. Yes, that's the number. Okay, so they broke the seal, and we were able to get our things. Now, here or the wonderful thing that our moving company did is they also not only moved us on the front end in the United States, but they also moved us on the back end.
So it was
door-to-door service.
It's like if you were moving in Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
and you're moving from one county to the other to a house, it's the same thing. It's just that it's truck, shipping container, truck. So it's the same kind of deal from door-to-door service. It's a little bit longer. Now we did have to wait.
Yeah.
We did have to wait because of the shipping container.
We had to. No, they came and got our stuff on Juneteenth of 2022.
Right.
And I remember Juneteenth because I felt like it felt like that. Mm-hmm. We were leaving the plantation when we were getting our freedom and all that kind of stuff. We had just been announced that you are free. And so we were we left on Juneteenth. That's when they came and got our stuff. We didn't actually wind up with our stuff until November.
And now we were in the home that we had picked at that time, and we got an email saying that, and the thing about it was kind of like a surprise because, we were waiting, we didn't hear anything at all.
Well, we knew we were able to track the movement of stuff, that it was still in the warehouse in Baltimore at the port, waiting for a container. Oh, okay, now it's got a container. They shipped it and gave us the shipping information, and we were able to follow. I was able to follow the track of the ship because it made a bunch of stops in other countries before it made its way back around and up and to the Gulf of Mexico, to Veracruz. That was its last stop, and then it was heading to empty all of the load and then go back to the States. But it wasn't until November that we got our stuff.
Yeah.
So, that was one snag that couldn't be helped by the shipping company or anything. No. That was just...
It was a fallout of COVID.
That was just one of those things. So we didn't get our things until November.
Yeah.
The wonderful thing about having door-to-door service, which is what International Movers Network provided at that time for us, was those guys drove to the port. They picked up our shipping container.
Drove it from Veracruz to Querétaro.
Yes, drove it from Veracruz to Querétaro. Got here to Querétaro. We met actually not far from our home at a gas station.
Right.
Because they were trying to figure out, how are we going to get this big old thing into your neighborhood?
And they brought a truck, smaller truck.
Yeah.
To offload from the container into this truck, and they had to make a couple of trips.
Because our neighborhood was a double gated community.
And they didn't allow tractor trailers like that.
Big trucks like our shipping company had through. So they had to get a little smaller truck.
Right.
And go and make 2 trips.
Right.
To get our stuff and then take it to our house, and then come back and get the rest of the stuff and then bring it to our house.
Yep. Yep.
Here's a great one question. Do you recommend air tags for your things? Okay, so here's the thing about, yes, I would say I could recommend air tags for your most valuable items that you don't want to chance getting lost or stolen or what have you. Now, here's the thing. For all of our packing that we did, on each box had labels for the designated room that it went in. We bought them on Amazon. Really great find. Yes. I'll link that below too, because they were so great that we used them.
Right.
We still had some left. We used them before, and my oldest daughter is actually moving to a new in Mexico City. I found a box of some of them still left.
Right.
I'm gonna take them down there for her to use as well. But they were really great in terms of labeling. The Menaje de Casa process, which was a total surprise to us because I was totally stressing out about having this inventory.
Right.
Our company did that for us.
Yeah.
They kept a detailed, itemized list of everything, every box. Every box had a number, and every number went on a sheet that kept a listing of all of our things. And so when the box arrived to us, when our belongings arrived to us, we had that list, and we were able to just go through and check the number of the box, check arrived, so that there weren't any discrepancies in terms of a box that should have been in our stuff that is missing, or things like that. Now, having that been said, some of my stuff got stolen.
Yeah.
I suspect in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I had some jewelry that was deep in.
And this was costume jewelry.
No, it wasn't the costume. They got the good stuff.
Yeah, they did get some of the good stuff too.
Yeah, they got the good stuff. Unfortunately, I had some stuff that was deep in my
Which
clothing.
means that someone had to dig through.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was.
Or maybe perhaps they X-ray and they were like, "Oh, what's in there?" The heifers took the boxes or took the jewelry out of the boxes because it was gifts that Lamar had given me over the years that was still in the, a Pandora bracelet that was still a Rolex watch that was what's the other one? Movado. A Movado watch that was still in its box, those types of things. They took the box. I mean, they took the watch, but left the box. Oh, stank heifers. So I say all that to say an air tag, if I had known.
But better yet, if you have valuables like that,
I wouldn't
put them in there. I would actually pack them in a bag and bring them with me as carry-on when you
if
fly.
It was that memorable.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, now this wasn't a valuable type of thing in terms of a monetary value. My late father had given me a cross when he went to Rio de Janeiro, the Statue of Christ cross.
Right.
And it was a little wooden figure. That is one of my most beloved, gifts, or that's one of my most beloved possessions that I would fall apart if I lost that. So that came with, so if it was something that you just absolutely just could never do without, I wouldn't put it in a shipping container. I would send it on. Now, having said that, my late mother's ashes in her urn thing, that was on the shipping container. Mm-hmm. So if they'd have lost my mama, we would be throwing hands. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So for me, it was both of us shipped hobby stuff.
Yes. Oh. Ooh.
So and we shipped a few pieces of furniture. It wasn't a lot, but the majority of it was hobby stuff. The furniture stuff was 2 chairs, the buffet,
2 decorative African chairs.
I would consider that
my great grandma's
chair
that I inherited from my grandma.
The furniture for your hobby room, and
the furniture from my hobby room,
my workbench, and a couple of things from there that I would consider furniture.
Those are furniture.
Rest of the things were more so things applicable to the hobby. The cars, the parts, the tools, all those kind of things.
If you can see over here behind Lamar, I bought my books.
Yeah.
And most of those were from like doctoral research books that I am so grateful I bought with me, because I needed a lot of them now at that point. So I'm just eternally grateful that I bought those with me.
Wait for the book. So, book coming.
Book loading. Yeah,
yes.
Right. So those were things that we definitely had to absolutely have. Another thing that we definitely needed was our clothes.
Yes. Yeah, I'm over 6 foot.
We both are 6 feet.
Yeah, and foot size. I mean, I wear a size 13.
And listen, the biggest part to that is the time and expense that it would have taken to replace those items. Oh my gosh. I mean, we're talking, I still to this day can't really find clothes here in Mexico
No, I mean, I had
to fit, and I'm 6 feet tall.
how many pairs of slippers have I purchased here?
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's hard to find any socks.
Yeah, socks.
None of that. So
Yeah.
things like that I had to purchase on Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
and
But even still, some of the stuff is like, it's just sometimes it was easier for us just to bring our clothes, because I knew that the time and expense to replace them was going to be a hassle. Plates, you can find great plates here. You can find actually some beautiful plates here in Mexico, and then also finding pots and pans. Now, if you have specialty pots, if you are a foodie,
a chef,
and you have the
Herman.
good stuff,
Herman,
you might want to bring those things with you.
Right.
Just those things.
But those are tools of the trade.
Right.
Yeah, and especially if things that, for my hobby, I had things, as you called them, curated, but things I can't find anymore, things that you can't find anymore.
Oh, right. Books. There are books that I have that are out of print. That I needed for my research. Oh my gosh. So there are some things, there are some reasons that you might want to ship some things ahead of time. So we got a question. Peace, loving justice. I love that. I love that name.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm moving to Querétaro as well. It's just me and my cat.
Aww.
I don't plan to bring a bunch of stuff, but I am also not looking at 2 suitcases and a backpack.
I know that's
right. I wonder
right.
what my options are.
Okay, so if you're coming from the United States, you have a couple options. If you want to just bring you and your cat on the plane, maybe have 2 suitcases on the plane,
right,
and then ship your other things. Now, depending on how much stuff you have, if it's just you and your cat, you might be able to take advantage of some shipping
arrangements with the airline.
That might be a little expensive, but it may not be as expensive as you think.
Yeah.
To ship something like that, because that's what would happen if you go through DHL or something like that. They would, or Federal Express,
or UPS,
both.
All those. So if you're coming to Querétaro, since you say you're moving to Querétaro, DHL comes here, FedEx, and UPS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you probably now again, I don't know how much you're planning to bring, but that could be an option. And then also, if you're coming from the States, like I mentioned earlier, you might be able to find some people who are driving up to.
Right. There are mules, as they call it, mule service, that you can have things shipped to the border, and then they will take it from the border and drive it to your location here in Mexico. So you can do it that way.
Right. So that would be an option when you get here. That's a great question. Oh, check out Anita. Okay, so you really liked Vietnam, girl. I was checking you out. I might have to.
Yeah.
I might have to go and check Vietnam out.
Yeah.
Stephanie talks a lot about getting clothes personally made in Vietnam. I don't know. I might have to check that out. She got me curious there, Doc.
Yeah.
Right? Definitely curious. But for us, it made more sense just to bring our clothes and things like that. Now, Querétaro, the weather here is almost year-round spring. So we knew that we didn't need to bring heavy coats and boots and scarves and all that kind of stuff.
Just some lightweight stuff, light jackets, because in the winter here, it does get a little chilly at night, especially during the day. It's
like
in
40 degrees,
70s during the day.
And right now we're in our summer, so it gets up into the 80s.
Yeah, upper 80s, and a couple of days it's been like right at 90.
It hit 90, which is like, oh my gosh.
Not like last year. Last year was extremely hot because it was mid-90s.
No, you gotta say, extremely hot.
Extremely hot for here.
For here, right.
For here, it was hot.
That's not Las Vegas hot.
Right. So, and it's not humid here. It's very arid and dry. So
Correct.
you out in the sun and then you walk into the shade, it cools off immediately.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
But yeah, so light sweaters, some hoodies during the winter time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The rest of the time, she knows I wear shorts most of the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Shorts every day, because I mean the temperature here is that of a really nice spring.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is.
And it's beautiful. The weather is very beautiful here. So that governed what clothes I was bringing in terms of my
Right.
wardrobe. And now, hindsight, I had a lot of my professional attire clothes with us when we came. I do make an intense, purposeful attempt to cycle through my closet, even if we're just going to, we're just going to a doctor's appointment.
Mm.
I'm sporting my stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, just because don't nobody take me out nowhere. But anyway, yeah, that's for me. That was one of the things that I had to definitely bring because, yeah, and like I said before, finding 6 foot tall clothes for women in Mexico has been a challenge for your girl. So, it is what it is.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, peace, love, joy. Bring that Lucrece. Bring it. Because you trying to replace it with things, I mean, it hurts your heart,
Right.
especially if you're trying to cook on a pot that just, we bought in terms of our appliances. Now, most appliances you can get here, or you can get them through Amazon or things like that. But we brought our foodie.
Yes.
Our Ninja Foodie, which I love.
Yes.
I love my foodie. We bought our Ninja, the coffee maker.
Coffee maker.
We bought that coffee maker that I also adore and love, which broke. And we wound up having to replace that coffee maker with another Ninja that was here, but it was slightly more expensive. I think you have to pay a little tariff situation going on.
Right.
And that was a couple months
like
before.
what you're experiencing in the United States.
That was before the orange one.
Yeah.
But at any rate, in our kitchen, the rest of the things that we had for our kitchen.
We did bring a flatware. We brought flatware with us.
Oh yeah, we brought the good flatware.
Good flatware and some cooking utensils with us that came.
The good ones.
The good ones.
Yeah, we bought the good stuff, the good cooking items. Some of my baking pans and things that I actually love because I love to bake. I bought my good bakeware with us. We bought our we did bring our turkey the pot or what's it called?
It's not a pot. It's the baking pan. It's a large baking pan with the rack in it.
Really nice.
We brought that with us because we do, have Thanksgiving here. We do, and they do have all the fixings for the most part here in Mexico for any people from the United States that are here.
Yes.
That are having Thanksgiving.
Yes, we did that too. So yes, bring your Le Creuset, bring that with you. Okay. Hi, Creative Flavor and Travel. Hello. Happy landing on. On Cinco de Mayo. Yes. Now, Cinco de Mayo is totally a U.S. thing.
It's not a Mexican holiday.
It's not a Mexican holiday, but all of the expats that are here, we will get down on some Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
So, if you're coming, hit us up on it. If you haven't joined the Blacks in Querétaro group or the Black expat group, hit us up because we're probably going to be doing something.
And she also has another question.
Oh, okay, cool. What area is considered suburbs for Querétaro?
Well, where we are.
Yes, definitely.
Juriquilla.
Juriquilla is considered a suburb.
Juriquilla
and Jurica are considered suburbs.
Zakia.
El Refugio.
Zapata.
Zipata. Zakia. Corregidora,
Yes, Corregidor.
um,
Out where the hobby stores is.
Millennial.
Yes.
Millennial. What else is considered suburb?
Out past the hobby store.
Altozano.
What is that? Out there.
Past that's Corregidora.
No, Corregidor is on that side.
Central Sur.
Central Sur.
Central Sur.
Yeah.
Yeah. Central Sur. I don't know if I would call it. It's the beginning of the start of
Suburbs.
Central Sur is the south of center of Querétaro. So you're just on the south side.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You're on the south side of Querétaro, but
right.
It does kind of have a little bit of a suburban flair to it, even though you're technically still considered in Central.
Right.
But that's a good question. Welcome. Hit us up when you get here.
Yes.
We love to meet new people who are coming to Querétaro.
Yes.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, so back to our topic of shipping. Would you say that it was worth it?
Absolutely, because I mean, one of the main purposes of us picking this area was kind of driven by my hobby.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a large RC track here, and I've participated in many races here, and I've been having a great time. And still brings me joy now as it did when I first started.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely worth it. Happiness is priceless.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I think it was definitely worth it. We didn't bring a ton of stuff. It was
not to hear some people tell it.
Yeah, well, but I mean, it really was not furniture.
But here's the other part to that. I believe that bringing things with us helped to create a softer landing.
Yeah.
Definitely helped to create a softer landing because it wasn't hard for us to set up shop and make our home and for us to feel like home.
Yeah, because we did bring artwork.
Yeah, we bought a lot of our art pieces that we just absolutely love to put on our walls that made it feel like home. And that for us bringing kids with us was priceless. To be able to set that up or set up the home quickly, to get it set up quickly so that we could be able to feel like you're integrating into your new surroundings and stuff like that. That was definitely a worthwhile. How much does it cost? That's what you want to know.
Right.
Doing a shipping container can be very pricey. It could cost you anywhere between. It could cost maybe $7,000 to $17,000.
Right.
For like a whole container.
Right. And that's also for the company we used, that also included the moving service as well. So all that whole price was all together. It wasn't just the shipping container, but the actual cost.
The cost of the having our advisor doing our Menaje de Casa, having the door-to-door service. We wanted the door-to-door service, so we were willing to pay the extra price.
Yeah,
to make
because
it happen.
The amount of stuff we would have had to rent a truck and drive to Veracruz, and then drive that all the way back here to Querétaro, which would have been a couple of days trip.
Yeah, and then unload it ourselves. And
no, because there were some heavy things in there. The embroidery machine.
Yes, I bought my embroidery machine.
The furniture that you had coming.
Right.
Those things are heavy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I may be, a strong guy, but I'm not doing that kind of thing anymore.
You weren't going to do that type of work.
No. So, and then we kind of glossed over this. Be careful of fluids that you put into. There are things that are not allowed. Most countries,
right?
Of course,
guns aren't allowed here.
Yeah, here
there are certain knives that are, dangerous type knives that are not considered weaponry. That's not allowed. So you have to look at those types of things. Certain foods weren't allowed. Now we brought our spices.
Yes,
we brought our spices.
But those came in the van.
Yes,
we didn't ship them in the shipping container. But since we drove here, we had a crate
Right.
that had all of our spices and seasonings in it,
Right.
because we brought all that with us.
Right. We had a very nice spice collection, an
Yeah.
extensive spice collection, and so we were bringing our spices.
Yeah.
Now, could we have replaced those spices? Sure, we could have.
Yeah.
But we used those while we were in our Airbnbs and when
and
we moved to our new place.
while we didn't have all
Yeah.
of our cooking gear and stuff that was on the shipping container, we had to buy temporary things like plates,
Right.
some flatware to eat with,
Mhm.
cups and things like that,
Yeah.
and pots and pans, a few pots and pans in
Right.
order to cook,
Right.
which eventually moved over into our Airbnb that we had for a little while.
Right. Worth it.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it. We bought our computers.
Yes.
We bought 3 televisions. We had the big TV.
One.
Or did we just
two.
bring the 2?
No, it's 1, 2, 3.
3. Yeah,
correct.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, 3.
We bought 3 flat screen televisions. The big TV that which is not so big now.
Yeah, it's a 72-inch, I think.
Right, but we said it's a 100 now. Wow,
Yeah.
these TVs are huge now.
Right.
Wow.
The one for your office and the one below us in the TV room.
Yeah, so we bought those things with us or shipped those because having to replace televisions was just
there was a thing with TVs saying that they were more expensive. That there's some are slightly maybe, but I see that the television costs or those electronic devices is not as what they say is more expensive.
It is a little bit more expensive than to get it in the States.
But now,
just like my laptops are more expensive here than in the States.
But now with the televisions and the tariffs and the deals that Claudia Sheinbaum is setting up here with China,
President Sheinbaum.
Yeah, it's going to be coming here. So those things are going to be less here than they are in the States.
Yeah, and shout out to the president of Mexico, who's about to, and China, that is trying to set up a deal so that Americans who are in the United States can come to Mexico and get their stuff,
right,
and head back to the States. So that's going to be very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, but as far as the whole shipping thing, it was totally worth it for me. You only live once, and it just made a huge difference as far as being here and, like you said, soft landing, setting up, being able to kind of like hit the ground running. And even though Spanish is being learned by us, making friends, integrating into communities, it did make it definitely was worth it.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was worth it. Now, having said that, would there be some things that I would have done differently? Yes. There are a couple things that I would have done differently. Number one, any jewelry of value, I probably would have put that in my suitcase to bring with me or with my person.
Right.
Having said that, any jewelry worth value. Now, I had some cosmetic jewelry, those things, if it was stolen, it's, okay. It's just fake jewelry anyway. There were some, in the packing up process, I would have made sure to have us completely packed and ready and all those items segregated into our garage for the shipping people to just gather those things. Because like we said earlier, there were a couple boxes that were not meant to come with us that managed to sneak its way onto the shipping container and landed here in Mexico.
That box from my Aunt Lil.
Yeah, the pictures of, we were like, what the hell? This wasn't supposed to come here.
Yeah, but they went through like a tornado. They
sure did.
And just wrapped stuff up and boom, done.
I would, if I doing things differently now, I would have looked closer at the Menaje de Casa inventory list, just as we were receiving things.
Yeah.
So, because there was such a flurry of activity.
Stuff was missing when we got it, but not.
Yeah.
It was in the house,
But it was placed in
placed in
areas that
areas
we were like, okay, where's the box? I thought everything that was labeled for the kitchen was supposed to be put in the kitchen. But things were not.
Right.
And so we were like having to possibly thinking about filing
An insurance claim.
a claim, but turns out no, we didn't. It just was they put it on the wrong side of the house under,
Yeah.
buried under some stuff that had nothing to do with it. So
Yeah.
it was that type of thing.
Yeah, but that also comes. I've seen that with moves in the States as well.
Yeah, that's just a moving thing.
Yeah.
That's just a moving thing.
But other than that, it's totally worth it. Listen, I said at the beginning, it's your journey is your journey. You bring what you want to bring, what makes you happy.
Absolutely.
Makes you happy. And if certain items furnished like your grandmother's chair.
Oh, yes.
And when you see that chair and you think of your grandmother. People will see certain items that will just bring you a sense of joy.
And items that make home.
Home, yes.
Now, I left a beautiful Christmas tree. We got rid of a beautiful Christmas tree, but here in Mexico, we were able to also buy a new Christmas tree that is just equally as beautiful.
Yes.
So there were some things that I knew I could replace, but then there were others that irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Irreplaceable. And we did bring,
and that's the other thing we brought was Christmas decorations.
We bought some Christmas decorations.
We weeded through and took the best stuff that we knew. There were things that lights, the Santa Claus
lights?
we brought some lights.
Okay.
Yeah, we brought some lights. Okay. The Santa Claus that I had when I was
little Santa thing.
It looks like the Santa from all those, Rankin Bass.
He has a little Santa thing that just kind of is near and dear to us. And the kids, Elf on the Shelf, we bought those things with us. Those things that make home for us.
Yeah, when you see them, you think and in that Christmas stuff, when you think about it, my mother had these hand towels and things like that, and she loved these towels that said ho ho ho.
Mm-hmm.
And she just loved it. So those things, we made sure that they came.
But those are a part of our family that make home.
Yeah.
And so as you are starting your journey, and as you are creating the life that you want to live and creating a life of abundance that you want, that looks like the things that make you happy and that fills you with joy, think about those things and don't feel bad about bringing them with you.
And don't let anybody shame you, because there are people out here that will get all up in your business. Why are you bringing it? None of your business. None of your business. This is me.
Right.
This ain't you. You don't have to live with this. I do. And I'm living with this because it makes me feel good.
It makes them happy.
Makes me happy.
And we are indeed happy that you have joined us and hung in there for this long. If you stayed this long, go on and before you're on your way out, just go ahead and hit that like
and
button.
Subscribe.
And it will really help us.
If you're not
subscribed, because we're a little channel and we love to try to be put on the algorithms list to get out there and help other people.
Yes.
Just like you who are trying to.
Because people are going to need help these days because who Lord
is right.
Because the way stuff is going right now, I'm seeing stuff where just be prepared that the shelves because of these tariffs, shelves are empty in some stores. Walmart's starting to have stuff missing.
Not here,
but in the United States.
But that's what we hear.
That's what we're seeing. Oh my, it's going to get bad. So
hang in there.
Hang in there, yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And we will be seeing you soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.